Well, all right, everyone, and welcome to Sound Thoughts with Pastor Marvin McKenzie today. And I believe that we're on. Looks to me like it's all working like it's supposed to work, as far as I can tell. Welcome to Sound Thoughts with Pastor Marvin McKenzie, July 29, 2013. And I am glad to be able to put on a program. I actually did record one last Saturday and then found out after I got it all done that I had made a mistake with my AirPods in my ears. And so there was no sound, no audio. And so I went ahead and deleted it after it was all done. But I am glad to be able to record today. My wife, our schedule is changing a lot these days because of Anita's medications with the cancer and so forth. Our schedule keeps changing, on and off all of the time. And so talked to her a little bit today. Used to be up until this week, she was doing laundry on Saturdays. Her and my daughter doing laundry on Saturdays, and because now my son and daughter are in their house, my wife is going to start doing laundry at their home a couple of days a week. That means Saturdays aren't the same, and so she's out right now doing some grocery shopping, and she knows I'm going to be doing this, and so she gave me some time. She's out doing some grocery shopping, so that I can take care of doing my Sound Thoughts program today. Understand my program's got a long ways to go before it's really top quality, before something got any quality to it. But I know practice, practice the thing you want to be good at, and you'll become better at it. I was listening to one of my health programs I listened to was Annette Bosworth, and I was listening to one of her programs and a lesson on cholesterol and triglycerides and so forth. And she made this statement. She says, "The more often I do this, the better I'll get at it." And I think that's the same thing is true with me as well. I want to learn some things about this green screen, blue screen that I've got back behind me now. I'm using a blue screen just because I kind of like it as a background better than green. And I haven't learned how to use the green screen with live streaming over YouTube yet. I'm working on it, but it's a little bit of a challenge for me. I have a couple of other channels. I've got my Marvin McKenzie channel and one that I use for health. I've got one that right now is called Whiteboard Buddy Bible Studies, and another one that has to do with books by Marvin McKenzie. And I'm considering kind of repurposing one or both of those, maybe to begin doing some live Bible study lessons using my books and some of the videos of my preaching, and put together some live Bible study lessons. And if that would be something that works out that'd be wonderful. I have a couple of things I'm a little bit proud of this week. Thankful for is a better word. Thank God for them. And thank God my YouTube channel now has reached 1,000 subscribers. And so that and 4,000 view hours in a year's time kind of puts me into another level as far as YouTube algorithms go. And I really do believe that it won't be much trouble to get that 4,000 watch hours in a year's time. Now that I've got that number of subscribers, my watch hours are already up around a little over 400 for this month. And so 400, if I can maintain that 400 over watch hours a month over a period of 12 months, I should be able to reach that 4,000 without much trouble. Changes my my tier as far as the algorithms are concerned. Looking forward to maybe some new opportunities in YouTube broadcasting media because of that. Trying to get the word of God to as many people as I can get it to around the world. I'm very thankful for the things that God has allowed me to do with blogging, and then now my podcast. Podcast is being listened to. My Daily Visit with God podcast is now being listened to in 53 countries of the world. Many of those countries are restricted access nations, and I'm excited about getting the gospel in places where a missionary cannot go. Excited to be able to do that. Let me see. Let me cancer update. Talk about my wife just a little bit. She just finished round 3 of this new Taxol. So it makes her about a quarter of the way through with round 3. The thing about Taxol is it's not as hard on her immediately as the AC was. The AC was made her sick right away and kept her sick for several days. Taxol doesn't seem to do that. But the difference is, at least the way we understand it from what our oncologist said, is the AC. It was what it was as long as it was going on 8 weeks. Taxol, though, we understand what will happen is it's cumulative. So the negative effects will build week after week after week for the 12 weeks, so that there are some women who are not able actually to finish the full 12-week cycle. Our doctor is talking about either adjusting the dosage of the Taxol if and he starts having trouble, or he can also adjust how long it takes to administer the Taxol. If it goes in slower, the effects aren't as bad either. And so some of those things are being weighed now. Right now, she seems to be doing very, very well. We keep in mind that what she's going through is all chemotherapy, and we're trusting God that the cancer has already been eradicated, and praising the Lord that the surgeon believes she got all of the cancer when she did the surgery. And so we're just praying that be the case, and that no cancer stem cells escaped, and that she's going to be fine. Saturdays, I spend the better part of the afternoon and early evening. I spend preparing for Sunday, and so of course Pastor Caleb will preach Sunday night, and looking forward to hearing him preach. Sunday school tomorrow, I'll be teaching out of Jude chapter 1 verse 25, and this will have to do with only God has power. Trusting the power of the Lord. So many of our problems spiritually come from the fact that we claim to trust God, but we don't trust in his power. One of the reasons why people debate over the issue of the Bible versions is because they don't really believe that God is able to preserve his word. Many of the problems that people have in church is because they don't believe God has his hand upon the church and has his hand upon the man of God. They don't really believe the man of God is a man of God. Anyway, they just think he is the sheep that the sheep voted to take care of the sheep. Anyway. Hey, I discovered a new online app or program or company, kind of an alternative to Amazon. It's called Public Square, and it just went public on Wall Street a week ago or so. And so their app is available on both Apple and Google Play. It's different. It's different than Amazon. I've been checking into it because I think it looks more like maybe an Etsy type of situation more than an Amazon type of a store, so that it's, each person gets to establish their own business. And I have set up my books and counseling and mentoring on there as a business. That's it. But I'm waiting for approval for that to work out. In the world today, boy, there's been quite a stir this last week over that country music song, "Try That in a Small Town." It was taken off of the schedule for CMT. I understand. I don't even know what CMT stands for. Probably country music something, I suppose. I grew up in a small town, Waitsburg, Washington. When I was there, the population of Waitsburg was 1,200. I had 30 people in my graduating class, 33 in my graduating class. I always joke around. I graduated number 3 in my class, but that doesn't mean much when there's only 33. There were 300 students, kindergarten through high school. And I understand that this last year they graduated less than 15, and so they've even got a smaller number there. So I grew up in a small town. Now I don't know. Music has changed. The world has changed so much. I don't really know what Waitsburg's like that much politically and all of that. In the days that I was there, I would have considered Waitsburg conservative. Of course, 30 in my graduating class, but every one of us had a rifle in the and our gun rack in our pickups. We parked him. I lived a block away from the school, but I would drive to school that one block. But I had a rifle sitting in the gun rack and my pickup. I went hunting every single night after school. In Waitsburg, we had two policemen, one full-time chief of police, Bob Hornbuckle, and then there was a part-timer. His name was Hines. And that was just all there was for police. I think about the only thing that ever happened while I was there. One time, big excitement was when Bob Hornbuckle pulled over a speeding vehicle that was speeding through from Walla Walla on its way to maybe the Idaho border, and the car had a V12 engine. None of us had even heard of a V12 motor, maybe a Rolls Royce engine in that thing. About the only thing that ever happened there that was much excitement. Bob Hornbuckle, chief of police. Actually, I would go out hunting with him, and when I had my learner's permit, driver's permit, Bob Hornbuckle would have me out in his car, his old big Ford LTD, out practice driving with the chief of police, that little dinky town. Try that in a small town. Songs created quite a stir, and I did listen to it. It's not my kind of music. When I was growing up, I was a cowboy, and really country western music was the kind of music that I listened to. But I listened to things like Marty Robbins' gunfighter ballads, kind of a thing. Cross the Brazos at Waco. We're safe when we reach San Antone, and my best friend is Samuel Colt, the wicked six gun that I tote. That's the kind of music that I listen to. So I'm listening to this song the other day, and what impressed me most is, man, that might as well be rock music. That would have been like the rock music that was being played when I was in high school in the 70s. There were groups out that were crazy. I always think it's funny because Ted Nugent was popular back in the 70s when I was just graduating from high school, or in high school, just graduating. I can remember his kind of music, that just crazy rock kind of stuff. I never would have listened to that. And I can remember talking to a fellow one day. He says, well, you do have to be stoned to like it. And I think that's funny because Nugent is famous for not drinking and not using drugs. So he never was stoned when he did it. Why did you have to be stoned to like it? I guess he's a conservative type person politically, but I guess he has enough of his own high on his own high inside that he didn't need any drugs to give him that kind of high in his performances. Again, nothing like a kind of music that I'd want to listen to for sure. Try that in a small town. It's being compared to rap music that is constantly advocating and promoting violence, and where this song doesn't really promote violence at all. It's just saying, listen, you can't get away with those things in a small town. We would take care of this kind of business. They're not saying let's go out and hurt somebody. It's saying, that song is saying, let's preserve and protect the right to defend ourselves against those who would do us harm. Things to pray about. Of course, I'd like to ask you to be praying for my wife and her bout with cancer, but I know so many others, especially now I'm interested in those that are battling with cancer. I'll be praying for those who are battling with cancer and other forms of very difficult disease. A little girl named Chloe Rochester battling cancer, 4 years old. I just learned about a preacher friend of mine whose granddaughter's 2-year-old granddaughter has a rare disease. I think it's called Batten's. Only 200 people worldwide have this. And they say that she probably won't live to be 5 years old because of this terminal disease that she's got. I know the Wallaces and their family would certainly appreciate their prayers for them. Pray for the protection of those who protect us, the military and the police. Be praying for them. I think about especially I think about the military over the history of our country. Those men who've given their lives for liberty. And sometimes we call it, we think of that as heroism. They gave up their life so that we could have freedom, but they did more than give up their life. Almost every case, those men and women were lost. They gave up more than their lives. They gave up eternity. They are suffering in hell today for our freedom. So we talk about, freedom is never free. It comes at a great cost. I wonder if a soul in hell really believes that cost was worthwhile. And it just reminds me, I'm not saying I'm thankful for them. I'm thankful for what they did. I'm thankful for the liberty and the freedom that we have in the United States of America. But I'm also concerned that we should be praying for the souls of our soldiers. We should be praying for the souls of those men and women who who give their lives so that we can live in freedom. Be praying for their souls. Do everything we can to try to reach them. I thank the Lord for ministries like Daniel Robb and like Lance Hohenstreet have in our church, who are trying to reach the soldiers and win them to Christ. And want to pray for their ministries and pray that God would bless them and keep them and help them in their ministries. And then finally, just before I end today, I'd like to ask you, if you've read any of my books, I want to encourage you. I think maybe I said this, I've reached 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, but I've also, for the very first time, I have sold $100 worth of royalties in my books. Now, royalty, I get an average of 70 cents per book, I believe it is. An average of 70 cents per book. And these royalties are there only from the people who've ordered books on Amazon. I order books and have them in stock at our church, and I take them with me whenever I'm preaching and so forth. And I'll sell some books that way. I tend to usually end up giving away more of them than I ever sell. And I give away books, electronic versions of my books, to anyone and everyone who'll ask for them practically. But so this was the first time I've ever reached $100 worth of royalties on orders from books off of Amazon. Typically, that would be $30 a month. I've had a couple of them that have gone 70, but 100 is quite the thing. Like to see that keep up. If you have ever ordered one of my books or read one of my books, I'd like to encourage you to go on to Amazon and do a good book review. I'd really appreciate that. And then in the description of this YouTube, you're going to find a set of links down below. You got to point to other sources of content that I've created. Want to invite you to look around there. You're also going to find a link. It's called Coffee, KOFI, and it really is it's a place where you can give to help me in my ministries and my efforts to reach people around the world. If you think that I got something going on that could be a good potential, with my daily visits or my blogs, or maybe even this Sound Thoughts program, I would certainly encourage and be thankful if you were to leave me book reviews. And so until the next time I'm able to come with Sound Thoughts, God bless you.